center to make sure that we would stay in close coordination among the different departments. And our SDOT teams have been working around the clock 24/7 to clear Seattle's major arterials with plows, salt spreaders, de-icer trucks. They've been assisted by a number of city crews. And I just want to remark and thank our city crews. For the last year, those frontline workers have been showing up every day through the pandemic to serve this city. And they've done it over long hours and facing lots of challenges and difficulties themselves. And they're out again today, and we're overnight. And I just really want to thank them for their work through the whole pandemic, but also through this latest challenge that our city is facing. The Seattle Fire Department is staffing the COVID testing sites. They are open. They have at least one lane open. The chief can talk about that. And their mobile vaccination team has been chained up and out in the field, continuing to deliver vaccinations to people who need it the most. Our Human Services and Parks Department are working very closely together to shelter as many people as they can and bring them inside. You'll hear from Helen Howell and Jesus about that, but they sheltered over 145 people last night across our shelter facilities. Tonight, we'll be adding additional capacity at City Hall. And the City Hall shelter will open. As many of you know, opening the shelters not only requires the space, but it requires us to have providers there to provide the services. Our frontline providers have been working tirelessly themselves through the pandemic in very challenging circumstances. And when we needed them to step up, they stepped up again. And I just want to thank all of the frontline providers who've been doing so much over the last year, but also in this snowstorm. King County continues their shelter operation at the Jefferson Day Center, and the Lake City Community Center is opening as a warming shelter. King County has been just a tremendous partner with the city throughout the pandemic and in the challenges of the snowstorm. So I want to thank Executive Constantine for being here, but thank him and his teams and all the county workers who are working so hard to keep people safe and moving. I can't tell you how grateful I am for all of that work. There's some key things we need you all to keep doing. Number one, please stay informed, know what the weather is doing. Two, shovel the sidewalks in front of your house and business. That's your responsibility. And if you have the time, help your neighbors as well, particularly if your neighbors can't shovel their own. Keeping those sidewalks open is so important to the mobility of people, so please do that. Don't drive unless you absolutely have to. The roads, even the ones that are plowed, can be very difficult to navigate. There's more pedestrians and people out trying to enjoy the snow, and we want to keep people safe. So please don't drive unless you absolutely have to. And please check on your neighbors, particularly if you have some neighbor who is either elderly or disabled, or limited mobility. Check on them and make sure they're doing okay. Keep yourself prepared and warm, stay safe. And again, shovel those sidewalks, stay safe. And again, yesterday people laughed, but remember, we're still in COVID. And it's really important while you're out and about, please wear a mask, keep your physical distance, and wash your hands. And with that, I'll hand it off to some Executive Constantine, who will walk you through some of the things the county is doing. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you, Mayor Durkin, and thanks to all of you for joining us here today. You know, across the region, snow is making for some pretty hazardous conditions, and the best advice right now is to stay safe by staying home. Now, we've had nearly a year's practice at staying home, so I think we all know the drill by now. Our staff, though, the same staff that has been out all year round, working hard on the front lines, is out there now working to make sure people are safe during the storm, especially as we look to weather like this continuing through the weekend and possibly into early Monday. First, our County Emergency Operations Center is activated, and those folks are coordinating a county-wide response. Metro buses are operating on snow routes. That means before you head out, go to metrowinter.com, metrowinter.com, and click on the map to get the latest on your route. Our Deputy General Manager of Metro, Michelle Allison, is available, and she'll be able to share some more specific metro information at the end of the presentations. Our road crews as well are working 12-hour shifts. We work a lot with the city of Seattle. A third of the people in the county live in the city of Seattle, but the county geographically is vast. And so before the snow came, they were out working those 12-hour shifts, supplying anti-icing material to our primary plowing and sanding routes. And they're out keeping those roads clear now. Again, our goal is to ensure the people who need to travel can safely reach their destinations. And I especially want to thank those frontline workers. Those workers are out there in the cold, bundled up, and this year also masked, working to keep people safe. I want to talk about some of the work we've done with our health and shelter teams. On public health, we preemptively closed the drive-through vaccine clinic in Auburn. And now, due to the snow, we've also closed the Kent vaccination clinic. And we're working to reschedule all of those appointments for this coming week. Certainly when the snow and the temperatures fall, the most in need are those in our communities who are without a home. Our Department of Community and Human Services is working with our shelter partners, and yesterday provided hotel vouchers to help up to 200 families get in out of this weather and stay safe. Tonight and moving forward, we will, as the mayor said, partner with the City of Seattle and the Salvation Army to combine our efforts. We've had our 4th and Jefferson shelter open at night for cold weather shelter, but we're combining that with the City of Seattle at City Hall to make it possible to offer an expanded joint shelter that can provide warm, safe beds for some 78 people. And we're coordinating with our cities across the county to ensure we all are working together to keep people safe. I just spoke about an hour ago with the mayor of North Bend, Mayor Rob McFarland, who had a power outage, significant power outage in one of his neighborhoods. It impacted about 1,400 or so residents. He said that Puget Sound Energy had gotten out there in a hurry and gotten most people's power restored, and that their challenge in that part of the county had been less the accumulation of snow and more the windstorm that we experienced overnight. Our emergency operations team stands ready to assist his team and our other cities, particularly those rural cities that are adjacent to or surrounded by unincorporated King County, if they need any support during this time. Our emergency operations team stands ready to assist in any way with emergencies across the county. And I am so proud of the work they've been doing from our headquarters in Renton, which is also the headquarters for much of our road maintenance operation. My hat is off to them. They've been dealing with this pandemic for a year now, and adding this on top of it obviously puts a strain on resources, but they're up to the task. The best place for the public to stay up to date on all our storm response is kcemergency.com, kcemergency.com. We're going to be updating it throughout the weekend. So again, stay home if you can. Remember, we've had lots of practice, and it's the best way to stay safe. If you have the privilege, the luxury, if you're fortunate enough to be able to go outside in this weather, go out and enjoy it. We don't get this much snow very often around here. And I, in fact, came in for this press availability from our local sledding hill, the same one I used when I was a little kid. And now my 6-year-old daughter is getting to experience a rare winter snowstorm in Seattle. But stay safe, stay masked, keep distance from others, and enjoy this brief moment of winter. Thank you so much. Anthony, back to you.
Thank you, Executive Constantine. And next we will be hearing from Director Mayer, followed by Director Howell.
Thank you, Executive Constantine. We very much appreciate the partnership with King County. So as you've heard, there has been significant snowfall overnight with 8 inches or more in some areas. The snow has had major impacts, particularly on transportation and the roadways. And we expect to see another 1 to 2 inches of snow on Sunday. We're grateful to our partners at the National Weather Service for their assistance throughout the storm, and we will continue to work with them to forecast the weather and expected impacts to city response and city services. The Seattle Emergency Operations Center is virtually activated, has been activated since early this morning. We are coordinating there with departments and partner agencies throughout the region to ensure all operational needs are met and that the city can continue to provide essential services. We also are continuing to focus on a holistic, equitable, and coordinated response to managing the impacts from this snowstorm. The EOC will stay open for as long as needed, and we will regularly assess our resource needs and the capacity based on the conditions and reports from all of our frontline workers and city staff working in the field and in the department operations centers. So enjoy the snow this weekend if you can. Stay home. Please stay off the roadways unless you absolutely have to. And if you do have to drive, please go slowly. And remember to have some emergency supplies, water, food, warm clothes, boots, and a charged phone with you at all times. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. This is Helen Howell, and I'm the interim director of the Human Services Department for the City of Seattle. Last night, in terms of emergency severe weather shelter, we had occupancy of 159 out of a total of 189 beds. What's new, and the mayor and county executive both referenced, is that we're going to be opening up City Hall this evening, and it's going to be open 24 hours a day through Monday morning. The capacity is for 75 co-ed single adults, and the operator is the Salvation Army overnight and Compass Housing during the daytime. Last night at Fisher Pavilion, we had 77 shelter residents, and at Bitter Lake Community Center, 38 people stayed, and at Garfield Community Center, 25 joined. In terms of the county's temporary Jefferson Day Center, they had 19 beds filled. In terms of temporary services, Operation Sack Lunch will provide 3 meals a day. Showers will be available for shelter guests, and pets and service animals will be allowed at community center locations. The temporary shelter spaces all meet COVID-19 safety protocols recommended by Public Health and the CDC, and they call for COVID-19 screenings for guests, expanded space to allow physical distancing, hygiene access, and increased sanitation guidelines. The Health One team of the Seattle Fire Department has been helping with transportation to warming shelters as the need is increasing. Also, it's our understanding that the Lake City Community Center on its own opened up a temporary warming center from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and it will be have the same hours tomorrow. And then, as Mayor Durkin mentioned, Wheel at First Presbyterian opened a women's only shelter with a capacity of 60, and we had 5 women there last night. The Hope team continues to coordinate shelter referrals and plan to be back out in the field from 2 to 7 p.m. today. They're transferring from Parks Department vans to 4-wheel drive vehicles and are getting ready to head out. And again, I would mention that Health One has been doing welfare checks and transporting individuals, and it's been incredibly helpful. Areas visited yesterday and last night by the Hope team included Sodo, Georgetown, Beacon Hill, Ballard, Lake City, Downtown, Queen Anne, Capitol Hill, and the University District. If you're in need of shelter, please call 211, And for families with minor children, please call the YMCA's late night shelter 24-hour intake line, which is 206-461-4882. That's 206-461-4882. With regard to food banks, I would just note that North Helpline food banks at Lake City and Greenwood are closed, and all other food banks are regularly scheduled for weekend closure. There has been no impact to our case management program with regard to aging and disability services, and I think that's it for my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director Howell. Next, we will be hearing from Director Zimbabwe, followed by Peter Rogoff.
Good afternoon, Sam Zimbabwe with the Seattle Department of Transportation. Just the update that we're working very hard today to ensure that the city's most critical routes for emergency services and transit are clear. I want to thank our city crews who have been working 12-hour shifts since Thursday morning, and they've been working tirelessly since the start of the pandemic as we work to prioritize the most critical routes to hospitals, emergency services, the shelters that Director Howell just talked about, as well as the West Seattle High-Rise Bridge detour route and routes for getting to COVID-19 testing and vaccination sites. We have a number of streets that have now been closed with street closure signs that are around the city. We continue to inspect those, set and reset them as we need to keep drivers off of the steepest side streets. That does not mean that those streets are open for sledding. Please look for places off of our streets to enjoy the winter weather. We really want to keep everybody safe. We've also got crews deployed to clear dozens of pedestrian overpasses, stairwells, and curb ramps that are not near homes or businesses, but want to remind the community that everyone has a responsibility to shovel the sidewalks around their homes and businesses. Clearing these sidewalks isn't just the law, it's the right thing to do, and so that everybody can travel safely during a snowstorm, especially people who are disabled or who have a harder time getting around. We've had inspectors out in the field both yesterday and today, and they will continue checking sidewalks and making contact with adjacent property owners on our high priority routes. As you start to shovel sidewalks, it's also a good idea to start to clear storm drains if you know where they are. As we move into the melting time, having those storm drains clear will be critical. We also want to ask that you clear other structures or areas that may impact sidewalks and right-of-way. We know that throughout the pandemic, many restaurants, businesses, and even personal houses have opened new tents or other structures for outdoor seating. As there's more snow, those can get heavy and risk of collapse increases for those. Please start to clear those structures off of snow as soon as you're able to, and make sure that they don't impact the public right of way. While we're working as hard as possible to keep the network clear, we can't be everywhere at once. There may still be snow and ice out there. Please continue to use caution, take it slow, watch out for others, do not travel if you don't have to. We are getting increased reports of stuck vehicles and requests for assistance, and trying to respond to those locations thins out our team's ability to respond and makes it more challenging to focus on our priority locations. So please plan before you go, try not to travel if you don't have to, and enjoy the snow safely.
Thank you, Sam. Next up, we'll hear from Peter Rogoff, followed by Dave McCormick.
Thank you, Anthony. This is Peter Rogoff, CEO of Sound Transit, and I can report that Sound Transit trains and buses are currently running smoothly under our plans for inclement weather. As is always the case during snow events like this, there are service modifications and impacts that require riders to plan their trips a little bit more closely. I'll talk a little bit about that. Let me first talk about Link Light Rail service and our Sound Transit Express buses. With it being a weekend, Sounder commuter rail trains are not running today or tomorrow, but we do expect them to be running on Monday. We did run our light rail trains through the night to prevent icing from forming on the overhead electrical lines that powered the system. And this morning, while we did have a few minor stutter steps in getting passenger service started because of basically some track switch heaters, which got a little overwhelmed by the snow, Link Light Rail has been running without disruption every 15 minutes, really since mid-morning this morning, and continues to do so. As we did predict yesterday, given the volume of snow, we did need some additional time to clear all the platforms. Walkways are now all passable, but we obviously, in any case with walkways, we do ask all of our riders to exercise considerable caution. As a reminder, Link is running less frequently than it did prior to the pandemic, so trains are running every 15 minutes during the weekend, except for the very early morning and very late evening hours when it runs every 30 minutes. So passengers should be prepared to bundle up and for perhaps longer waits than they might have been accustomed to for rail service. Sound Transit Express buses are also running today and getting riders where they need to go. However, riders need to be aware that many routes are on snow reroutes. Buses are maintaining slow speeds for everyone's safety, and most are running behind schedule, but riders therefore should be ready to bundle up and be ready for extra wait times. The Sound Transit buses that are currently on snow reroutes are the 512, 522, 535, 542, 545, 550, 554, 560, 577, 578, and 594. Monday is President's Day, so Link, Sounder, and Sound Transit Express are planning to operate on our posted weekday schedules, and riders should monitor for any snow-related changes. Tomorrow, Tacoma Link will operate on a Sunday schedule. As always, the best way for riders to stay informed is to sign up for our rider alerts. We are all pushing out the web addresses. Ours is soundtransit.org. You could sign up for our rider alerts. That is the best way, rather than writing down all the bus routes that I cited to you, that is the best way to get a complete picture of how the network is operating. And I would just add two things. One, echoing everyone else on the importance of wearing masks on all of our services they're required. And I also want to do a shout out to all the operators who worked through the night last night, including our rail operators from the King County Metro Rail Division that ran our trains through the night so we could have a relatively carefree restart of service for passengers this morning. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Peter. Next, we will hear from Dave McCormick, followed by Deborah Smith.
And I'm going to say a few words about the partnerships that have been so important to us at this time, the challenges we've faced, and also stress how much that we appreciate the assistance from the public that we've received during this period of winter weather. First of all, we're especially grateful to our partners at the City of Seattle, King County Metro, Sound Transit, and the Washington State Patrol. Every year, it takes a team effort to respond effectively during winter weather, and we clearly have a strong team, and I'm so grateful for our relationships with the agencies here today. The public also has been extraordinarily supportive of our workers, and I want to thank you for the kind words that we've been hearing about the services that we've been providing. Our staff, like the others on this call, I am proud of our staff and the work they've done during this storm. Our crews continue to work around the clock to keep our highways and freeways open. And as freeway conditions improve, as we start to gain headway on this storm, you'll see us out on secondary roadways and other state highways to start to make a bigger impact in those areas. Weather's going to continue to be a challenge. Don't let it fool you. If tonight we have frigid weather coming in, even if that roadway appears open and clear, black ice could be there. So please continue to be cautious and careful on the region's freeways. We clearly have every resource that we have out on the road. So we'll continue to fight this storm through and into next week. and then start to clean up from the aftermath of it from then on. There has been several spin-out accidents on our freeway, and I'd like to get the support of you to know the conditions and the situation that you're in, drive appropriately, take it slow on the freeway system, and you'll get to where you want to go safely. If you need to travel, please ensure your vehicle is ready for the conditions, and like I said, drive to your ability. Importantly, give our crews room to work. Don't crowd the plow. In closing, this is a challenging event. It's going to continue for the next few days. Even with every available resource out there, it's going to take some time for us to get our major routes and our secondaries back to the shape that they were before the storm arrived. The fact that our roads are open today is really a reflection of the support we've received from the public, and we want to thank you for that. And it really makes a difference, the support we've received, both in terms of staying home and in the support we've received from you for our crew's work. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Dave. And next we'll hear from Deborah Smith and then Mami Hara.
Hi, my name's Deborah Smith, and I'm the CEO General Manager of Seattle City Light. I'm happy to say that so far we're having relatively few problems. We currently have 2 outages, one north in Shoreline, one south in Burien, about 275 people impacted, and our crews are working those, and service should be restored fairly quickly. Snow doesn't cause power outages. What causes power outages are lines that get heavy or tree limbs that fall on lines. And what we know about this event is that we don't know how it's going to play out the next couple of days. If we have a clean transition from snow to rain, which it's not sounding like we may have, but with a clean transition, we should continue to be in great shape. If we in fact have rain, snow, which some of the predictions show, that can be problematic because the strain on lines and tree limbs is cumulative. So we'll continue to watch. We have crews, we are fully staffed, and we have crews on site. We are staffed through Monday morning. We are actually also in the process of preparing to send crews south to help Portland General Electric, who's had significantly more issues and are expecting freezing rain south of us. They're leaving Monday morning at 5 a.m. In the meantime, I just want to remind folks that if you see a down power line, stay away, assume it's hot, and call 911. Last, I would say that our restoration protocol, we make safe, we communicate, we restore in that order. So we're there, we're available, and if you have questions, just get in touch with us. Thanks so much. Mami?
Thank you, Deborah. Good afternoon. I'm Mami Hara. I'm General Manager of Seattle Public Utilities. Seattle Public Utilities staff have been very busy preparing in advance for this winter storm, and we're grateful for their work responding to the storm and its impacts. Please note that Seattle's transfer stations are closing at 2 p.m. today, so crews can get home safely, and we appreciate your understanding on this. The winter weather conditions are unsafe today for our contractors with their large, heavy trucks to handle garbage, recycling, and food and yard waste. There are a small number of commercial and multifamily customers whose waste is normally picked up on Saturdays and who will not be served today. These customers will be served as soon as conditions allow. About 2,800 customers were not served yesterday, and they will not have pickup today. They should set out their carts on their regular collection day, Friday, for pickup, and they can put out double the amount of waste on Friday at no charge. We are in close contact with the National Weather Service as we monitor the forecast for the next few days. If there's still snow and or ice on the ground Monday and conditions are determined to be unsafe for our contractors, we will operate on a one-day delay for garbage, recycling, food waste pickup this coming week. We will be sure to communicate just as soon as decisions are made. We have crews on standby to respond on short notice to any water-related issues like emergency shutoff requests or to any impacts affecting our infrastructure. If you need emergency assistance, please call 206-386-1800. We encourage all customers to sign up for Alert Seattle to get the latest information on any service delays. We also post delays on Twitter at Seattle SPU and on our website, as well as information about how to protect your pipes or how to thaw your pipes if they're frozen. The biggest reminder is to not use a blowtorch, kerosene or propane heater, charcoal stove, or other open flame device on a pipe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mami. And next we will hear from Jesus Aguirre and then Calvin Goings.
Thank you, Anthony. Jesus Aguirre, Superintendent of Seattle Parks and Recreation, and we at Parks and Recreation, like the rest of the city family, have been busy preparing and responding to this emergency for several days. I do want to very quickly take a moment to echo the mayor and the executive and others and extend my gratitude and appreciation for all the Parks and Recreation staff who have been on the front lines since March and have continued to step up in this emergency. The work that we've been doing to begin with, as Director Howell stated, we are supporting HSD as well as shelter operators in operating shelters at Bitter Lake and Garfield. Our staff is there supporting the operators who in this case are the Low Income Housing Institute as well as HSD staff. We also have partnered with the Lake City Partners Ending Homelessness to operate a warming center at our Lake City Community Center that will be open today and tomorrow. During emergencies like this, our maintenance staff really focuses on treating and removing snow from critical park paths, sidewalks, curb ramps around our facilities and community centers. This time around, we prioritize shelter sites, testing sites, vaccine sites, and then we also have staff members supporting the Department of Transportation efforts in clearing the streets. Our tree crews are out and about around the clock 24/7, ready to respond to any fallen trees that might block paths or roadways. Our heavy equipment crews, again, are also supporting us, but also prepared to respond to any landslides or issues that happen in our parks. During events like this, we definitely want to let folks know our nearly 500 parks remain open unless otherwise indicated. But as others have said, we really urge folks to stay local, stay off the road. So if you're going to go outside, go to your neighborhood park so that SDOT and others can do their work. We are happy to report that our golf courses although are closed for golfing, they are open for snow play and sledding, as are most of our athletic fields. Open for non-motorized winter recreation. But again, take advantage of these if you live within walking distance. Otherwise, stay close to your local park. Again, we want to remind folks, when you're out in the parks, continue to follow COVID-19 safety precautions, face coverings, maintaining your distance, and washing your hands frequently, of course. We also want, for those folks who go out into our parks, just want to remind people that when you're outdoors, keep an eye, stay away from trees. The ice and the snow can make our tree branches heavy, causing them to snap. So please stay away from trees and avoid our forested parks during these snow events. In terms of our operations, I already mentioned golf. Our athletic fields, again, are closed. Our Amy Yee Tennis Center has been closed. And all of our outdoor programming, including Rec in the Streets and the concierge programs across the city, are obviously closed today. And for folks who don't get outdoors, I would encourage you to look into our website and our various social media channels. We have lots of virtual programming available for folks. So they can continue to take advantage of these activities, everything from yoga to bridge to physical fitness activities, videos. So please take advantage of those. So please stay safe and stay local. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus. Next up, we have Calvin Goings, followed by Chief Scoggins and then Chief Diaz. Calvin?
Good afternoon. My name is Calvin Goings, Director of Finance and Administrative Services. FAS is supporting city services in 3 key areas. First, in fleet management, our Charles Street and Holler Lake facilities are operating 24/7 in support of SDOT's ongoing efforts. Additionally, we continue to monitor and replenish the fuel stock for use by the city's fleet. Second, facility operations. Our teams are actively engaged in de-icing and plowing operations at our various facilities across the city, and our 50-plus generators at city sites have also been topped off with fuel. Third, logistics and emergency management. We are prepared to deploy logistics supplies from the city's emergency stockpile to partner departments and agencies as needed. And for residents interested in donating, please do not drop off items at a shelter site or at a city facility. They have their hands full today. Instead, please donate online through the United Way. And finally, a big thank you to the frontline essential employees at FAS and across the city family who have continued to report in and day out since the COVID pandemic and are key to keeping the city running. Thank you.
Chief Scoggins?
Yes. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Harold Scoggins, Fire Chief. And I do want to echo the sentiments expressed by many that spoke before me to thank our firefighters, our professional staff, and our new team of registration techs that have been working really, really hard over the last year. The Seattle Fire Department is fully staffed and ready to go. If you've seen our vehicles navigating around the city, you can see the chains on all of our ladder trucks to our aid cars. So we're really busy. The last 19 hours since 6 p.m. last night, we've responded out the door over 400 times to emergencies around the city. And just to give you perspective, in a normal 24-hour period, we go out the door between 225 and 250 times. So we have really been busy. Our Health One team has been out there around the clock working really hard, serving people and trying to get them what they need. And that could be gloves to socks, or giving them a ride to a shelter, or taking them up to the local hospital. They'll be out there again tonight, really trying to check in on people and just to make sure people are okay. Our vaccination team has been working hard also. We have 2 teams out there today. By the end of the day, they will have visited 10 different locations. So that work continues to go on. And our testing sites, all 4 of our testing sites are open. And we've had a lot of pictures taken today, so we know people are still coming to get tested. So if you need a COVID-19 test, please feel free to go ahead to any of our 4 testing sites. And just a few safety reminders as I wrap up. Sam mentioned earlier about the tents and canopies that we see all around the city, serving the different businesses in different ways. Please go out and take a look and see what the snow accumulation looks like, and knock off some of that snow if possible. We know this next wave of snow is coming. And then I want to remind you about heating safety in your homes. Please do not use barbecues or your ovens to heat your homes. We know carbon monoxide is a silent killer, and this is also a reminder to you. Please check your carbon monoxide detectors and your smoke detectors. And if you are using the portable heaters in the home, please make sure you plug them directly into a wall outlet, because they're protected that way with the circuit if they do overheat. That's very important. If you're out navigating the streets and walking around today, pay attention to where you're walking, the icy sidewalks, the stairs, the decks. Slip and falls is one of the things that we're seeing. Vehicle collisions is what we're seeing. So let's be safety minded there. And then the last thing I'll close with is, as many have, is we're still in the middle of a pandemic. Let's think about where we are and what we're doing. If we're out in public, let's make sure we have our mask on. Let's make sure we can wash our hands consistently throughout the day and maintain physical distance. But if you need the Seattle Fire Department, please know we're there for you and we're here to serve. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief Scoggins. Chief Diaz?
Good afternoon, everyone. Adrian Diaz, Chief of Police. I want to send a thank you to the officers, dispatchers, and others that serve every day and that have been part of this cold weather response. I know the weather presents several challenges for our communities. We are fully operational, responding to 911 calls for service. We've had over 600 calls for service over the last 12-hour period. We are diverting some of the calls to online reporting or over the phone reporting to avoid unnecessary driving by our officers. We're asking everyone to avoid driving unless necessary. At the present time, a majority of our calls are for hazards and welfare checks for our vulnerable population. Overnight, officers responded to over 6 traffic incidences and accidents. We have some of our personnel that can transport our vulnerable population to shelters. We're also been handing out gloves, hats, and blankets to several dozens in the community. Please respect the multiple road closure signs, enjoy the weather, and stay safe.
Thank you, Chief Diaz, and that concludes the briefing portion of today's press conference. We'll now do some brief Q&A. We do have a hard stop at 2:30 today, so one question each from our press. Thank you very much. And we will start with Deborah Horn. Deborah, the floor is yours.
Oh my goodness, I didn't expect that. So Mayor, this is a question for the mayor. You can hear me, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yes, very good. So Mayor, you talked a bit about how you feel about what's been happening around the city. What advice you've given advice to people about how they should respond, but there are still going to be issues with the roadways and all of that. When can people begin to expect, in terms of days or hours or whatever you can say, that they will be able to get around a little bit better than they're able to do today?
Deborah, great question. And I think it's, everyone's patience is wearing thin because we've had to